This is just a quick run through for you to show you how I might use the planner. And you might find it easier if you're looking at a copy of the planner yourself rather than looking at this screen, simply because things would be clearer. Why do I use a planner? Well, apart from anything else, I'm not an elephant. It's really hard to keep track of things. I lose things. I forget things. I forget when things are due. And I forget where I put things. So I've spent a little bit of time looking at all the different planners out there and have just started to develop one of my own. And this is it. So looking at page 1, this is where I track what needs doing. And this isn't in any particular order. This can be quite random. So in the first column, I write in here the name of the quilt. And then in this next column, I break things down into the very small individual steps. So it could be to find the fabric. That would be one step. It could be to cut some things out. It could be to make a block. So step by step in this column. And the date, if there's a due date where I need to get that step finished, I would put that in this column here and tick it or date it when I've done. And if I have a date for when the whole project needs finishing, that's where it goes. So keep on adding all of your projects and the individual steps. I like to use a different coloured pen for each project, or if I'm working on a computer copy, I'll highlight the blocks in different colours. So you can see here at the top, I've got my green quilt. I need to create a backing. That's one step. I need to layer it up. That's another step. I need to quilt it. That's another step. And then I need to bind it, label it, and photograph it. But there's no date on any of those because that's just something that's in the background. The next project is my improv medallion, which I'm working on at the moment. I have to make the stars and join them to the centre block, and I need to have got that done by the 20th of December, so I'm already behind. I need to do the focus quilting by the 23rd, and I'm already behind. I need to make the drunkard's path blocks, and I need to do all the remaining joins, and the whole project has to be finished by the 10th of January. My beginner sampler, I just need to finish off some quilt as you go joins. That has been sat there probably for about 3 years, and I keep forgetting about it. So it's good to have it written down, but there's no date where it needs to be done. And my improv landscape, all the different sections of it, and it all needs to get done by the 10th of January. So you can see this is what I'm going to be teaching next term. Moving on to page 2, this is what I call my bright shiny objects, or BSOs, and they are the things that we think about whilst we're doing the boring stuff or the important stuff or even the urgent stuff. And they're not things that we necessarily have a pattern all ready for, or they're just in your head. So you might put a description of your BSO in the first column. You might put any inspiration. So, for example, if it's based on a photograph, you need to remember where you keep the photograph so that you can plan it. It might be time sensitive. It might be for someone's birthday or Christmas, or it might not. And pages 3 and 4 are for your detailed planning of new quilts. So I've popped a box in there so that if you're someone who likes to sketch things out, you've got space for that, or you might like to stick a photograph. You've got space for your inspiration. So where you've got a photograph of something, or it might have been inspired by someone's pattern, note where your inspiration came from. You might know what fabric you want to use. You might know the yardage that you need. You might be dyeing your own fabric, in which case note the base fabric and the dyes that you've used, and you might want to note the yardage that you require. Whether you need fabric for borders, if you plan on using a specific wadding, note down the quilting distance so that you know when you come to quilting it whether you can quilt at 10 inches apart, or you need to quilt at 2 inches or half an inch apart. Are you going to use a binding or a facing? Do you need extra fabric for it? Are you going to use a large piece of backing fabric, or are you going to piece it? Are you going to make a label? Of course you are. What is the estimated size of your quilt? And also note what size it finishes up at. And then I've got a little chart at the bottom, and I think this is really important because this notes your estimates and your actuals. So estimate the fabric yardage, but make a note of what you actually did use. And do estimate and make an actual costing of the top of your quilt, the fabric that you've used, maybe even the threads, and the same for the backing and the wadding. Estimate and make a note of the actual time that it took to make the top and to quilt it. Make a note of when you plan to complete it and when you actually complete it, and how long it took you overall, and the overall cost. Not because you necessarily want to be selling your products, but because it informs you. It makes you think about what things are worth. It is I think it's quite self-explanatory, but do just pop into the group to ask any questions. There we go. I've just gone through all of that. Sorry about that, but that really will be self-explanatory now. Get into the habit of working out a rough costing. At the very least, guesstimate how much your fabric will cost and consider the time it will take. If you value yourself, your design skills, your craft skills, and your time, others will be more likely to value you too. And don't forget, any questions, pop into the group and ask away. Hope this has been helpful.